You found yourself on another episode of Locked on Bulls. In today's episode, we're going to talk about, hey, the Bulls could be top 5 if they add shooting. According to Pat the Designer, we're also going to talk about the athletic player.
I like how you just threw it at me. I don't subscribe to this line of thinking. That's all on Pat.
And MJ's still the GOAT, according to the survey. We get into all that and more on today's Locked on Bulls.
You are Locked on Bulls, your daily podcast on the Chicago Bulls, part of the Locked on Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for tuning in to Locked on Bulls, member of the Locked on Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. That's Pat the Designer, host and creator of the Windy City Breeze and host of the official The Chicago Bulls podcast of ESPN 1000. I'm Haize, host and creator of Chicago Bulls and Chicago Bears Central. But Pat, hey man, I know I threw some shade at you in the intro, but I actually do agree with this. With shooting, what level do we honestly see the Bulls at? And so, having this conversation, there's a lot of different ways you can look at it. I'm of the mind, and I want to just specify with a high-level shooter. I mean, like, if you add a great shooter to this team, and I honestly think two shooters will make this team absolutely top 5. Like, if you add a shooter into the starting lineup and add one off the bench that can play multiple roles, I do think the Bulls could be right there. Shooting is really the thing on offense. When you look at the Bulls, we were the number 1 team, no, top 3, I think number 3 team in field goal percentage overall, but we were bottom in 3-point shooting percentage. So with the shooter, our offense is already dynamic. We have a efficient offense in the league. We already know what defense. We've been top 5 in defense. I do think if you add some solid shooting to this team, we would really completely look differently at this team. Again, with the other caveats, a point guard, a healthy Zach LaVine to start the season. Those are kind of the things I look at, and I actually do agree with you. Just big brother, I had to throw some shade at you, but how you feeling, Pat?
I mean, here's what I mean when I say a shooter. I want to clarify this as well. I'm talking about somebody who the thing that they do, that they make their money for, is shoot. Because it's not just, right? Like, you bring up how many 3-point attempts we made. All right, we didn't have shooters on the team. We're not making a lot.
Yeah, we're not taking a lot either.
We're 30th in attempts.
Yeah.
It's not that we're not, and listen, like, I don't know how a lot of people's offseason has been going. For me, I'm a nerd with this, right? So me and Haize have a website, and I've literally just been going through, looking at games and looking what individuals are doing, how they're playing, I'll tell you the number one thing that I've seen just from looking at early on in the season. I'm not acting like I'm all the way through the season already, but looking early on in the season, there are a lot of 3-point shots that are there. The Bulls passed them up. AK was not wrong. The Chicago Bulls literally, like they'll have an open look and they'll run off the line. And it's not that somebody's closing out and it's the perfect play to make and blah, blah, blah. Like, for me with P. Will, a lot of what I've seen from P. Will, I focused on kind of the younger players first. A lot of what I've seen from P. Will is P. Will making the right pass, but the opportunity for him to shoot it was there. But the other thing that I haven't gotten to this point yet, but I noticed at the end of the season, P. Will's jump shot got quicker. He got more confident in it. He got a lot quicker with it. In the beginning of the season, I'm talking about Kyle Anderson. Like, that man was like, all right, I got to get the elbow in, arm up, let it release.
But that's why repetitions
are
important, because it just starts becoming second nature. Like, yeah, you have to go through those times where you have to think about it, but then it just starts becoming second nature.
But it's not his mindset to be a shooter. Right. And so to me, I think the Chicago Bulls need to go out and get somebody who literally, the thing that they do is shoot the basketball, because then that guy's not going to be afraid when the ball comes his way to just let that mug fly. We don't have anybody on the team. You know who we have on the team like that? Zach.
And
it took Kobe White till the end of the year to get there.
Yeah, his confidence had to build up in that shot. So here's the thing I'm going to ask you. Like, when you look at the free agent market, I know you probably don't know off the top of your head. If you need some help, I have a
actually
list.
Pulled it up. Okay. I actually pulled it up to see.
When you look at some of, like, for example, Seth Curry is top 10 in shooting in the NBA 3-point range. Fred VanVleet, surprisingly, is top 25. I did not think he was that high either.
Yeah.
When you look at players like that, do you think that, especially VanVleet, like a player from the crib, close to it, who could be a free agent if he does opt out this year, do you think that that would be enough shooting, or do you think we still need another shooter coming off the bench as well?
I think you have a shooter coming off your bench.
Oh, because then Kobe would be.
I think you keep Kobe. Let Kobe keep coming in, right? Like and the thing is, right, you don't want too many just shooters, right? Like you can't have just shooters on the floor. You need guys that can put the ball on the floor, that can attack off the dribble, those kinds of things, right? But I do think that a Fred VanVleet to me is a good name to me, because when you look at Fred VanVleet, he's a starting point guard in Toronto right now.
Mm-hmm.
But when you look at his shot selection, he shoots what? 30 or 40%, I believe, something like that. 45%, whatever it is. It's not crazy from the field. He shoots like 39% from three. So when you look at Fred VanVleet, literally most of his shots are coming from the 3-point line. He would be a good name to me that you go out there and get. I think he'd be a fool to opt out of that money, because I don't think you're going to go anywhere else and get that money.
Well, like, it depends. Well, no, go ahead, finish your point.
I don't think he's gonna go anywhere else and get that money. Like I have a tough time seeing. Like, are you paying? Because right now he's making what? Is Fred at
22 million?
Fred's at 23.
22 million next season is what his contract's slated to be.
You paying Fred VanVleet 22 million? Well, he probably wants a raise if he's opted out.
Well, it depends, because some veteran we see, and it's not common, so I'm not going to act like it's just something that should be a foregone conclusion. But we see some veterans, when they opt out, if they sign a longer contract, they're willing to come down some off that initial starting salary. So if we're signing him for a 4-year deal, it's possible that we can probably maybe get it started at 18 million. But at the same time, it's like the Bulls don't have that much cap space either. So we'd be looking to probably facilitate a sign and trade or do something at that point. But I mean, unless, again, always the thing is, if the Bulls do try to get the career-ending injury exception for Lonzo Ball, then that does open up $21 million you can sign somebody with, and at that point, maybe you can convince him to come for that.
I will say this, and this is a different topic. We'll delve into this. Maybe we'll delve into this tomorrow, get a little deeper into this. But
that's what she said.
Shout out to her. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have nothing. I got to get a bell on this money. I don't have nothing.
Yeah.
That's there we go. Yeah. Combo. It was the combo. Boom. But I'm not going to lie to you. I think we're heading towards that because every time AK was pressed about what's he going to do with Lonzo, it's just, I need more information. No, you don't. Do we really think AK needs more information? This man ain't played in 2.5 seasons.
Exactly. Like, so I you know, AK likes to play everything close to the vest, and so maybe that does happen. I think at the bare minimum, we need to file for the disabled player exception, which will give us half of his contract back to use. So I think hopefully at the bare minimum, we're doing something like that. Now, you know, the thing is, when AK said in that press conference, he's ready to have that conversation with ownership about going into the luxury tax. And I really spent some time thinking about that. What if that conversation is for the disabled player exception? Because keep in mind, if they do the disabled instead of the career ending, Lonzo's full salary still gets to count against the cap, but they get basically a 1-year exception to use to go out and get somebody. So do you think AK could convince Reinsdorf to say, listen, it's 1 year of the tax. It's only 1 year, so we can get a point guard in here while Lonzo's gone. We can figure it out next year. Do you think Reinsdorf would do? Keep in mind, we've only paid it 1 year, and we weren't a championship contending team there either. We did get to, you know, we got eliminated by Miami though that year. But do you think that that's in the realm of possibility?
I think that's a decision that has to work, or we could be talking about a change in management. The Reinsdorfs do not play with you messing with their pocket lightly.
Yeah.
They do not play with you messing with their pockets lightly the slightest.
Here's another wrinkle as well that maybe we didn't think about it. The luxury tax isn't factored until the end of the season, meaning if you go over the tax and into the luxury tax area during the season, if you get back out of that before the end of the season, you don't pay the luxury tax bill.
Move a guy mid-season, possibly.
So then, yeah, you could say they could go to Jerry and say, "Hey, let's go over into the tax." And then if it's not working out,
sad that we got to do that.
I know it's sad. If it doesn't work out, we can move somebody at the trade deadline.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not. I don't know. It's such a weird because I don't see Jerry doing it. Yeah. That's really what the problem is. Like, I just don't see Jerry all of a sudden just changing who he is and being like, yeah, it's fine, let's do it. Yeah. Like we've done it once in our
once ever in the history of the luxury tax era.
Well, I don't know if there was a luxury tax before Jerry, but like
no, there wasn't. Jerry, so the luxury tax era, we've only paid the luxury tax once, which is wild.
So since Jerry, that's crazy, dog. But yeah, I think that realistically looking at it, you're probably I would almost be certain that even with as loyal as Jerry is, he's not going to be loyal for 32 games. He would say, try and cut him.
Yeah, for sure. And unless the Bulls win 25 games in a row, Jerry would be like, hey, remember that experiment you tried? Yeah, cut it. It's over with. Jerry, we're 8 games into the season. It doesn't matter. We didn't win all 8. Get them out of there. Like that's something I can absolutely see. It sucks, bro. That's where we're at. Next up, though, we're going to talk about an interesting survey that the Athletic did. But before we do that, got to talk to you guys about eBay Motors. For a championship team, it's all about making sure every player is a perfect fit. It's the same when it comes to your vehicle. Every part needs to fit just right. So the next time you need parts and accessories, head to eBay Motors. With eBay Guaranteed Fit, you can be sure every part you need fits right the first time around. Just add your ride to My Garage and look for the green check to know the part will fit or your money back. Because just like in sports, confidence is the name of the game when you shop on eBay Motors. And with over 122 million parts to choose from, you'll be back in the game in no time. After all, it's easy to bring home a win when the right parts are guaranteed. Get the right parts, the right fit, and the right prices on ebaymotors.com. Let's ride. Eligible items only. Exclusions do apply. All right, Pat. So the Athletic did this poll, Bo, and I'm going to call it this, man. This was the messy poll because listen, some of the things that have already come out of this, that was a major pause. That was a major pause. That was a fail. The messy survey. Christ. There we go. Hey, listen. Hey, that's exactly what she said again as she was on her way to the clinic. But what do you think about this survey from the Athletic, bro? Go ahead and give some of the details.
So, I mean, listen, they did an anonymous survey where it's literally the players explain their picks for MVP, the most overrated, most underrated, and more. So I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna just throw some of these at y'all, bro, because I am sitting here cracking up at some of these where like these are the guys that are playing the game in and out. Who's the MVP? Easy one, right? Easy one. Not nothing messy, nothing crazy. Who's the MVP?
You're asking me?
I was.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought it was a hypothetical. Whoa, that was a fail. The players poll. If they're picking for the MVP, I'll say Embiid.
Joel Embiid gets 50% of the vote. Okay. Nikola Jokic second with 25%. Giannis is third. Jason Tatum is fourth. Here's the surprise player. I'm going to be honest with you. You wouldn't pick this player in a million. Take a guess at who they got fifth.
Bro, you said I wouldn't guess it? Kawhi Leonard.
Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
I've said this. I over on NBA Central, I did say that if the Thunder had more wins this season, Shai would have absolutely been an MVP consideration.
2.9% of the players felt that.
Also, two players from the Thunder voted that.
It was the 2 players from the Thunder. It was only 102 votes, so probably actually. Who's the best defender in the NBA?
Huh.
This is a wild one.
Did Jimmy still get that? Did they still vote Jimmy as the best defender?
Jimmy Butler is not on this. So here's the thing. There is an others category in this one. Others got 8.9%, came in third, so possibly Jimmy Butler's name is thrown in there. But this is out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 players. Jimmy Butler is not on that list.
I have no idea. Who?
Drew Holiday has been voted as the best defender in the NBA. Here's the part that's wild. By, what is that? 27% more than the next closest, or I'm sorry, by seven. Dang, can Pat do math? 17% more than the next closest person.
Do math?
Can Pat do math? I had to think about it for a sec. 17% closest to the next person. Who do you think is number 2?
Alex Caruso.
Alex Caruso not on the list.
Wow.
No Chicago Bulls on this list in the slightest, which is a serious thing, right? Because the players are voting on this, and when you go through this, there's not a Chicago Bull to be seen.
So basically, the players don't take the Chicago Bulls seriously, which is fine. Who's next on the list?
Lou Dort.
Oh, I could see that. I could see that.
Brooke Lopez coming in at 3, Marcus Smart in at 4, Bam in at 5.
Okay, that's a solid, I think, 5.
Kawhi Leonard all the way down at 15.
Okay, well, all right.
I'm actually shocked by that one because to me, I look at like in my mind, right? Kawhi is one of your toughest defenders. Yeah, I mean, like I felt like there were a lot of players on there. Here's where it starts to get messy. Who's the most overrated player in the NBA?
Is Luka on that list?
Luka is not on that list. Nobody overrates Luka. I actually feel like you will get this pretty quickly, though.
Overrated. Chris Middleton? I don't know.
He's actually on the underrated list.
He's on the underrated list. Okay,
Chris Middleton is on the underrated list.
Interesting.
Trae Young.
Oh, absolutely. Come on. Yeah, that makes sense.
I will say this. Apparently, there's a player that everybody hates because there's an other section that is 31%. Trae Young comes in too, but there's an other section that is 31%. I don't know if that's just random people around the league or this specific guy, but we'll see. Julius Randle right behind him. You know, Jimmy Butler does make this list.
I can see that. And Jimmy's an irritant. He tries to irritate people personally, so that doesn't surprise me at all.
Dylan Brooks, Draymond Green, Chris Paul, all notable names on this list. Jaren Jackson Jr. as well. Your defensive player of the year gets 5.6% of this vote.
I can see most of those names, especially Dylan Brooks and Chris Paul.
Really? Yeah. I'm surprised by Jaren Jackson and Jimmy.
I am surprised by Jaren Jackson. Jimmy, I'm not, just because we know Jimmy talks crap. And I'm sure, like, if they had younger players vote on this, I'm 100% sure they're like, yeah, man, nah, F Jimmy.
Rudy Gobert also makes the list, and players were quoted on this as well. Now, they anonymous, of course. It says, to me, it's like he blocks shots. What else is he really doing? He's 7'3".
I mean, he can't throw a punch, and he gave all his teammates COVID. So, I mean, that's the other things that he does. So
Tristan Thompson was one of the other players because he did get back into the league. They said someone like him has made a whole career out of playing with LeBron.
And getting people pregnant. That's the 2 hits that he has there.
Let's see. That's one that we're going to cover on the next one. Now, here is my favorite one of all time. Who in the league would you least like to fight?
Oh, is Steven Adams on that list?
He's number 2.
Okay, that's fair. Steven Adams.
27.8% of the vote is Steven Adams. I've only seen Steven Adams mad once. It was terrifying.
Yeah. So definitely Steven Adams. Who else would be
number
on
1 is a former Chicago Bull.
Former Chicago Bull. Is it Jimmy?
Nope. Jimmy don't make the list.
Daniel Gafford.
Absolutely not.
It's not Laurie.
You're getting worse.
I mean, what other photos?
Although I did see Lowry's military photo.
Bro.
This man's terrifying out there, bro.
You know what? Laurie's military photo, bro. Like, if you literally painted his face, he'd be Pennywise from It, and that's terrifying.
Bro, I said, what's the NBA? Because he's only got to do. He's basically serving it in the offseason.
Yeah.
Right. Like he's basically just serving, and he'll be back next season to play. But he's got to go through boot camp. What is boot camp Lowry gonna do to the NBA,
bro? Hey, he already came into this season jacked. Hey, Lowry really about to
terrified.
Be
Number 1, still James Johnson.
Oh, well, that makes sense because he has the 2 black belts, so that makes sense.
Oh yeah,
I didn't know. Yeah, that makes sense.
The quote says, "Nobody messes with James Johnson."
Yeah.
Also, another Chicago Bull was mentioned on this list. It said, or former Chicago Bull, it said, he's like one of the strongest dude in our league. He's picking people up. Yeah, I wouldn't want to fight him.
Who's that?
Come on, dog. You already know who Steven Adams has been picking up out here.
Oh, Tristan Thompson. He's okay.
Tristan? No, Tony.
Oh yeah, Tony Bradley. He did pick
the great Tony. Come on, yeah. I set you up. We were not voted among the worst fans in the NBA. We were actually voted among some of the best fans in the NBA. Who do you got as the worst fans in the NBA there?
Toronto Raptor fans.
Not on the list, surprisingly.
That's surprising.
I would agree with you that Raptor fans are the worst fans in the NBA.
Worst fans in the NBA. Memphis Grizzly fans and Knicks fans, just because I don't like the Knicks. Oh, that would
Knicks fans are on the list. They only get 4% of the vote. Raptors fans and Grizzlies fans not on the list. Number 1, Hornets fans.
There aren't any Hornets fans.
I don't know a Hornets fan.
Maybe that's why they're the worst fan base, because they don't exist.
Pistons fans, number 2.
That's fair.
They
live in Detroit.
The Bulls do get on the arena that has the best fans. They come in 11th on this list, behind the Cavaliers, Raptors. Oh wow. Jazz, Thunder, 76ers, Knicks. Wow. The disrespect is crazy.
Yeah.
Warriors, Kings, and Celtics. Kings I'll agree with.
Cool.
And then I'm trying to think, is there another one on here? Let's see. This is a former Bull as well. And then we can get into that last topic. Which current coach, aside from your own, would you least want to play with?
Tom Thibodeau all day. You don't even got to finish the sentence. Don't even worry about finishing the sentence. We don't even have to think about that one. That is Tom Thibodeau all day, every day.
43% of the league. That's not the lead. It's not the lead. It's 55 votes. So 55 players. But Tom Thibodeau running away with this. Steven Silas is 2. Doc Rivers is 3 behind other.
That's crazy. Yeah, it does not surprise me at all that Tom, like, as you can see, that is the one that you didn't even have to finish talking. You mentioned coach. I knew who you were talking about.
My boy, though. Hall of Fame coach lands on this list. That's not Doc Rivers.
Pop? No, Pop definitely wouldn't be on that list. Never mind. I had to think about what we're talking about.
You are absolutely right.
Pop's on that list?
Greg Popovich comes in with 3.6%. Would not want to play for Pop.
Oh, that's just got to be young people then, bro. That got to be young players. I can't see a veteran player not wanting to play for Pop. There's
crazy. One Chicago Bull listed in this category who talks the most trash on the court. That's a pretty obvious one. That's why I went away from it. They also, instead of putting Ja Morant's name, put down the Memphis Kid. I don't know what that means.
All right. Well, one of the things from this survey that we're going to talk about before we go that does reference a Bull is that MJ was still voted as the GOAT by 58% of the vote, correct?
58% of the vote. I believe LeBron came in. Let me get back up to it. Greatest player of all time, 58.3% of the vote. LeBron came in at 33%. Kobe Bryant came in at 6.8%. Bill Russell is 4. Tracy McGrady is 5.
Okay.
103 votes. This is not the entire NBA, but a lot of people.
I'm surprised. Tracy
T-Mac got 1% of the vote.
When Tracy was on, he was amazing, but like that literally was like a season and a half. He was healthy in his whole career, but like, hey, and I'm just
T-Mac and Bill Russell with the same amount of votes.
That's because they don't have the reference for Bill Russell like me and you do, bro.
Yeah, that's true.
They can't possibly. But yeah, so like The thing I still love is that people still do have so much respect for MJ. Now, of course, that's going to change over time as the league gets younger and the older guard kind of goes away. That's going to get less and less. I'm really surprised that Kobe is as low as he is because it seems like so many players and prominent players in the NBA right now hold Kobe in such high regard, rightfully so, that I'm surprised that he's dropped down that low. But other than that, nothing else on that list surprises me, honestly.
I think the thing with Kobe is that a lot of the same players that got to play against Kobe, got to go against Kobe, they understand his mentality. Mm-hmm. A lot of them have also acknowledged that LeBron James is a better player than Kobe all around. But I wouldn't want to go against Kobe more than LeBron. Like, they kind of do that, but a lot of them have acknowledged what LeBron is. Yeah. I mean, LeBron's a monster. I know that in Chicago especially, right, it's easy to hate on LeBron. I mean, everything that happened in Miami and Cleveland, all that stuff. But like, that was like a part of my childhood, like hating on LeBron. As I got older, I was like, man, let me appreciate this dude's career. Because LeBron James is an absolute specimen. He is ridiculous. I'm going to be real with y'all. And this is not like, to me, MJ is in a stratosphere. But LeBron is still putting up ridiculous numbers at 38 years old. Are we watching this?
Yeah.
Are we like, listen, like, I get Bulls hate, whatever it is, put some respect on MJ name, all of that. I'm right there with you. He's 38. He looks unstoppable.
Until he gets a hamstring, he pulls a hammy, then it's all downhill.
Well, listen, age is going to come in at some point. Yeah, it just don't look like it's happening right now.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, and if we talking about hammies, Zion Williamson pulled a hammy and they came back.
Bro, like that Zion's built different, bro. Like did you see the meme
he's built with pudge.
Did you see the meme where it's fat? Where a chick was like, I just want a man who don't play games, and somebody posted Zion's picture under it?
Hey, that's so facts. Like, legit, bro. Like, oh my God. Like, listen, I love, and I'm not finna go in and just start roasting him. Listen here, brother. Anyway, I'm not finna just start roasting this man. I love what MJ has brought to this game. The game is here because of MJ.
Yeah.
But it's okay for MJ to get to a Bill Russell point. At one point, Bill Russell was the greatest man to ever touch a basketball. At one point, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was the greatest. Wilt Chamberlain was the greatest man to ever touch a basketball, right? We're going to get to a point where we're going to have to acknowledge LeBron is moving up the list.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. It's getting there, and it rightfully so. Like, it is what it is. Like, LeBron was one of the rare players to come in and live to every bit of the hype. I have my issues with him, you know, on the court at times and some things that he's done in his career. But like, as a man, as an activist, he's never shied away from talking about some of the key things that some of our greats that we hold in high regard didn't talk about, the social issues that LeBron James will regularly speak on and put his voice to. So all those things, like not only being a steward of the game, right, and just being such a specimen in the game of basketball, but just what he's done outside of that as well, and really being kind of one of the first transcendent stars to have their voice in a lot of these social issues. You can't take away from that, because as much as I love Jordan, Jordan wasn't trying to upset nobody that bought basketball shoes when at his prime. Now he's come out and started talking a little bit more recently, and I love that, and it is what it is there. But while playing, I don't think anybody's been as boisterous as what LeBron has during his career.
To me, I just look at the player, right? Like, the object of the game is for the game to continue to get better. I love Jordan. I think that Jordan today, like when Muggs is sitting there and they're like, Jordan could average 40. Like, no, I think y'all don't understand. Like, Jordan could average 40 because Jordan would actually try to score 40 a game.
Yeah.
Like, he really could average 40. But I also sit there and I look at a guy like Kevin Durant. Right? Like, the game is supposed to move forward. I look at a guy like Kevin Durant and I say, hey, listen, this man put up 27 points on 15 shots.
Yeah. Amazing.
He got to the free throw line 5 times. He was 10 for 10. He put up 27 points on 15 shots. I don't think I've ever seen a scorer this efficient in my life.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's 7 feet tall. The game is supposed to move forward. So when I look at lists like this, I love it. I can see the LeBron, right? I love the hold that Mike still has on the NBA. The fact that we still can have these debates, that's how great he was. But we got to get to that point where we're actually looking at stuff in basketball. And when you're looking at basketball, there are players coming out now that the Bulls in the 90s would have had a tough time stopping.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
You're not stopping Kevin Durant. I'm sorry, right? Like,
no, listen, somebody would have found a way to stop him, but they would have literally just been fighting. Like that's
it'd have been a fight. It'd have been, hey, look, let me punch you in your kidney. Let me put you on your back.
Quick question before we go. Just a random question that came to my mind.
Let's do it.
Because I know you're a basketball historian, much like me. Where do you hold Clyde Drexler? Because I feel like Clyde doesn't get the respect that he deserves, like in common in these basketball conversations. And I think Clyde was great, but I feel like he came in an era where he, of course, got overshined, rightfully so, by some amazing players. But how do you view Clyde?
Clyde was the second best shooting guard in the 90s.
Yeah.
Reggie Miller's name always comes up, right? Reggie was a nice leader, but he wasn't as good as Clyde. Yeah. Clyde was the second best shooting guard in the 90s. All time, I mean, he was on the top 75, right? He was on there. He deserves to be on there. I'm trying to think. Like, I don't know where I rank him all-time shooting guards. I got Mike. I got Kobe. I got Jerry West. I'm trying to think. He might slide in there. I'm trying to think. Shooting guards now. I'm sure I'm missing guys just because it's spur of the moment.
You didn't mention Dwayne. Where are you putting Wade in that list?
Clyde got 2. How many Wade got? 3?
3. Yeah.
I still might have Clyde. Clyde was D Wade's probably over Clyde.
George Gervin, over under Clyde.
Iceman's over Clyde.
Iceman's over Clyde, and then Ray Allen, the last one.
Ray's under Clyde.
Okay.
Ray's not better than Clyde.
I think if I counted correctly, you named 10 then. That you named a top 10, basically. Didn't you?
That's a tough one. Clyde, here's the thing. He ain't past 10. He's a top 10 shooting guard all time.
Yeah. Only other people that I think you didn't. Well, Iverson, we didn't mention either. But I'm putting Iverson under Clyde personally. I can understand people rating him above Clyde. Let me be clear. I
would probably put Clyde over Iverson, but AI was crazy.
Yeah, especially at the size he did it at too. Like, yeah. So yeah. But all right, man. Let's go ahead and send this off, bro.
Follow us on everything. That was just random basketball talk at the end. I love that. Now follow us on everything at Locked On Bulls. You can follow me on everything at Pat the Designer. The piece for my chair should be here tomorrow, so I can stop sinking on the show.
The piece that I told you to order a year ago. But hey, you guys can follow me at CEO Haize, and CEO Haize, and make sure you guys continue to stay locked in with us over here on Locked On Bulls as we continue to give you that great offseason content, man. And talking, maybe we'll do some more general NBA talk around basketball talk. So
might as well.
There you guys go. Let us know your random basketball hot takes down below. Let us know that, and we may read those on the show. But that is it for us for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. For Pat the Designer, I'm Haize. This has been Locked On Bulls. We out, y'all. Peace.
Peace.